Something perfect never lasts forever. It seems things below that follow that rule as well. Hello there, beautiful friends. I am Blackenfist, and we are now at the grand finale of Dragon Ball Super, and unfortunately the episode has to remind me of Trunks' flawlessness and his ability to wield a Deus Ex Machina. It had to remind me. But oh well, this is the death of Zamasu. He is finally vanquished, and finally everyone breathes a sigh of relief. The music kicks in, and it seems that finally things can be stable. But hold your horses, it seems Zamasu lives on. The immortal god, now shedding his purely physical form, takes to the skies and engulfs the entire planet. Shoots rains of crimson red, killing all the survivors. And that's one thing I have to give credit to this episode. Yeah, the survivors die in this episode and they don't come back. Yeah, you know what? That's very unlike Dragon Ball, and that's very unlike Super especially, so that's something that I wasn't expecting, and you know what? Kudos. Trunks, Vegeta, and Goku are of course too tired to really take on Zamasu anymore. However, Goku does stumble upon the button that Zeno gave him. Now, I did predict that this button was going to be crucial at the end of this arc, and that Zeno was going to be summoned. Oh, I'm right. Well, I guess it wasn't exactly the most bold of predictions. I guess it was kind of obvious that this was going to happen in the first place, and it happened. Zeno gets called over, and that's where I kind of have some criticisms. I'll be honest, as I said before, I don't like Zeno. I was hoping to keep Zeno out of this arc, because now that you're introducing him, I have questions. Throughout this entire arc, that Zamasu was completely messing up the universe, in the back of my mind, I'm always asking, what is Zeno doing through all this? I mean, he's supposed to be governing all this. He's supposed to be seeing all this. I mean, he came to the Universe 6 tournament because Beerus and Champa were kind of messing around. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what's he doing? And this is why I think introducing the character like Zeno, from the very beginning, I thought it was a bad idea to have this all-powerful, or like pretty much essentially all-powerful character to be around. I thought it was a bad idea. And throughout this entire arc, Zeno wasn't mentioned, and you know what? Out of sight, out of mind. If you don't mention him, it's not a problem. You know what? I'll completely ignore that. As long as he's not mentioned, I'll completely ignore it. But you know what? We can't do that anymore, because Zeno is introduced, and now I have to ask, Zeno, what were you doing? Seriously. Your gods are being destroyed. Your whole hierarchy's fucked up. You have one of your employees that is going against corporate policy. Okay? He is going against your order. And what are you doing? Huh? Huh? Playing with your toys? Acting all cutesy? It doesn't make sense. So Goku explains to Zeno the situation they're in. Zamasu's a bad guy, he's killing everybody, and Zeno immediately decides, well, you know what, this is a terrible world, I'm gonna blow it up. I mean, it had to end this way, didn't it? Of course, it is being extreme emergency. Goku tells everyone to get off this timeline and go back to the present because he's about to blow up the entire universe, and he does. With everyone reunited in the present, Goku decides to go back to the future to pick up Zeno, and this is where more doesn't make sense. I mean, they use the time machine to go to the future, then they use the time machine to go back to the past and reunite with everyone. Then Goku decides to get Zeno and go back into the future, get Zeno, and then go back to the present. Wasn't it like earlier on where fuel was like a serious problem now? But now it's not. Now it's like you can do like those trips back and forth, and now it's whatever. You know what? It's plot convenience. It doesn't inconvenience us anymore. So, what fuel? What fuel are you talking about? Oh, that fuel's rare? That fuel was precious? No, it wasn't. This time machine runs on plot convenience. When it's convenient, you can go anywhere. When it's not, you better get that blue energy up because you're not going anywhere. So Goku goes and decides to visit Zeno to bring him the friend that he promised him all along. And would you know it, it turns out to be the future version of Zeno, which I'm pretty sure Zeno would enjoy his own company knowing him. We do learn one interesting tidbit during this scene, and that is that the Grand Priest that is with Zeno is Whis' father. Who would have known? Resemblance. Back on Earth, everyone is discussing the ramifications of what just occurred, and this is where another of one of my predictions came true, or one of the things I thought was going to come true. I never stated it publicly, but I had my suspicions that when Beerus killed Zamasu, that created a new timeline. And I'll be honest with you, it feels great to be right, because that's exactly what was confirmed in this episode from Whis' own mouth. A new timeline was created, which honestly kind of brings up other questions, and not necessarily things that don't make sense. It just makes me wonder about some other things. But anyway, that's another rabbit hole. The discussion steers to what exactly the fate of future Mai and Trunks will be. I thought honestly that why don't they just stay in the present, but they do decide to live in their future world, and the way they do this is by going back to the point when Beerus died in the future, which was when Supreme Kai died, and stopping that from happening so that Beerus can take care of Zamasu. That's kind of weird. I mean, they even state that there will be 2 Mais and 2 Trunks in that future, in that world. That's kind of weird, but you know what? This arc honestly has had a lot of weird things too, so why not? This is not even the worst offender, or not an offense at all, I think, so why not? We get a small little scene with Gowasu putting the time rings away, and of course the new time ring that was just created in this arc, and of course we get a little farewell from Trunks and Mai as they depart to their new future world. And that's the end. That is the Goku Black arc. I have mixed feelings. I'm not gonna go into a arc review here because this is just this episode, and I think this was in terms of this episode, it was kind of another mixed bag for me. There were things that I don't like Zeno, things like the time machine suddenly having an infinite supply of energy. It was just logistics and continuity. Like, you just established this earlier in this arc with the time machine, and now it's out the window because you really need to do this. Oh well. For the most part, this episode did upset me less than the last episode, and I will give it credit that it did feel like a closure to this arc emotionally and story-wise, with Gowasu saying this was my sin, with everyone reconciling with each other. It did feel like the final bookend of this arc, so I will give it that. It did have that ending feeling to it, but that's all I have to say. I don't think it was one of the greatest episodes, but oh well. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts. And if you like these thoughts, please subscribe to the channel, because I'll be bringing you more like this one. Until next time, guys, I'm Blackenfist, and I'm